So I think within the UAE and other Arab countries or Muslim countries or countries that have a strict social standing against morality, I think that the world needs to be like that, because here and like America especially, morals have just gone completely out the window, and that's why people post this, that and the other, because they don't care, they just want to get views.
That's the scary part. That's the scary part. Hello and welcome to CMB, Two Generations, One Mic, where each week we talk about different topics. We change our topics all the time to sort of suit what's going on in the world at the moment. Nothing is really ever rehearsed, so whatever you see is raw material from us. So today we're going to continue our topic on social media and the effect it has on different generations and the effect it has on life, and things you can look out for as well if you're a parent and you've got a child who's using a lot of social media at the moment. So I'm going to start with the youngest ones in the room. Sophia is our guest today. Sophia, tell us a little bit about yourself, just so the guests know who you are.
Hi, I'm Sophia. I've been best friends with Bella since I can remember. Always known Charlie and Mo, so just here for a bit of insight.
Great, perfect, thank you.
Thank you.
So I've got a question for both of you, first of all. What scares you, and I want you to both answer me individually, what scares you the most with social media?
Do you want to go first?
You take the cake.
I think mine is like a lot of the trends now, we see them come so quick, and like I feel like you don't really think about what you're putting out, and digital footprint is still such a big thing. I feel like because even like most job platforms now use social media for promotion, you're thinking like, oh, I have a social media presence, but then say you want to go into something in the future, like there are still things like if you've posted doing something, like you've posted in a really drunken state because it was trending on TikTok at the time, you've posted like smoking, someone's then going to find that in the future, or you've said something offensive or stupid while you're drunk. I feel like it just gets forgotten about, like the fact that there is a digital footprint and you're so young at like this point in your life, you don't know where that's going to like follow you to in the future.
Are you worried about stuff that you've posted in the past?
Yeah, like when we were younger, we would be so silly doing like dance trends and not thinking, and like just silly things which everyone was doing at the time.
Yeah.
But you're just like, oh, I now want to go into like a really serious office job, but I'm like in a really serious case with like a client, and now this is like surfacing around
you.
like,
Got it.
you just, I don't know. And also you don't know who's out there watching those things. Like we were like doing like dances on TikTok at 14, having fun. You don't know who on social media is all public. You don't know who is then watching like you and your innocent friends having a laugh.
Yeah.
Like you don't know, like not everyone in the world is safe as well. Like you've put that out there for everyone to see. So I feel like you just have to be wary.
Yeah. That's more of an insight than I was going to actually, I could have even thought about, to be honest with you.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
This is just from my perspective. Why do people put stuff like that out on social media in the first place?
I think because, well, we grew up from seeing like apps like Instagram and TikTok change from like being like funny videos to then like beauty videos, what you're supposed to look like, what you're supposed to wear, like, and then you see like, I think you just saw like the girls getting popular and like famous from it, and then all of a sudden they were wearing like more makeup, less clothes, doing more dances, and the dances were changing from like silly dances to like weirder dances. And like I think like at ages of like 13, 14, when you're like growing up and getting into the internet, you want to be like those girls that you're seeing who are getting famous. So you're not really thinking like, oh, who else is going to see this? You're going to be thinking like, oh, people at my school are going to see this, and this is going to look really cool because we're having so much fun and we look so pretty. And then you get older and you like look back on some things and you're kind of just like, I was 13 and that, but what was I like? What, I didn't need to be wearing makeup or dressing up or like posting on social media. I think like it's just changed as a concept from like something to have fun and like stay in contact by to like then.
I'm going to come back to something you've just said in a minute about parenting.
Yeah.
I'm going to come back to it because I just want to find out your biggest fear, first of all.
My biggest fear, I think, yes, I want to say socialization, because I think that's definitely changed from your generation to our generation. And I think it's definitely worsened for the younger generation below us, because with our generation, we've kind of seen the evolution a little bit, not as much as you, but the evolution of social media. Like can go from Musical.ly to TikTok and things like that, and how people now communicate through social media rather than physical interaction, and how that, I think we touched on this last episode, on how that is quite impactful and how you communicate with people. And I think social media and communicating through social media has just completely diminished socialization, how people know how to socialize with others, if you get what I mean. Because
What scares you about that though? Why is that fearful for you?
because we're going to end up in a world where no one knows how to speak to each other, no one knows how to communicate and have a face-to-face conversation.
Does that make you scared about your own communicative skills personally?
Personally, no, because I think I'm able to detach myself. I'm not on my phone 24/7, and I've been very mindful of that recently. Like Sophia's like, why haven't you been online for 5 hours? And I'm like, I just haven't I didn't want to be on my phone. But I'm scared with friendships and future relationships, because what if they don't know how to socialize with me, and then it just becomes an awkward dynamic. And I don't want to have that awkward dynamic, but I think that's going to happen. And I think it is happening, especially within the younger generation.
Yeah.
I don't want to sound like an old person by saying this, but isn't that a strange thing that you just said, which is you were asking her why she hasn't been online for 5 hours?
Yeah.
Has it become the norm just to be online all the time?
Because that's how we communicate. We text, we call and everything, and we can see where each other are on our like snap maps and everything, and when we've been online and when we are online. It's just like our way of seeing what each other are doing.
Yeah.
What scares you the most?
About social media. I think one of the biggest things that scares me the most is one of the things that you've just mentioned, which is the fact that if you put everything out there on social media, then you're basically exposing yourself to the world. I believe in having some level of privacy, and social media is the complete opposite to having privacy, because the whole point of social media, depending on how you use it, is to publicize each and everything that you're doing. To give you an example of that, I remember when I used to work in, I think it was Essex, and the women that I came off Facebook quite quickly for my own reasons, but the women that I used to work with used to post on Facebook, I think it's called, where you landmark or Facebook pin, where you say where you are at that particular time. So I'm checking into an airport and then I'm getting on a plane and all of that. You're basically letting everyone know about your life and where you are at the time. That's one thing that scares me, because it goes away from the whole privacy thing. But I think the other thing as well is exactly what you've said, which is if you've ever done anything when you're younger, and then somebody looks at that and they pinpoint that on you. Everybody makes mistakes, but you're airing that in public, and that never leaves. And the worrying, concerning thing about that is the fact that when you've got future generations that are coming, and then this becomes the norm, like what you just said, you've not been online for 5 hours, right? That's becoming the norm for them. At least for us, without making us sound like we're ancient dinosaurs, we had a period of time where we saw the transition in technology. So prior to that, we had the period of where we didn't have any of that, but then we came into that. Whereas for the future generation, like these guys sitting opposite us, this has become normal. So it's just I just find it a very scary way for the world to work, and for human beings to have a communication with each other, which is nobody picks up the phone and calls each other unless you guys do, or nobody meets up. I mean, in one of the last episodes, you were telling me that you have these, I forgot what you said.
What?
The word for it.
Talking stage?
No, where you I forgot. Where you're talking to multiple people.
Situation.
The situationship.
Oh, right.
Right? I find that a bizarre concept. And I don't know, that's what scares me. I think it's for the future generations. It's where is this going to go? Are people going to completely stop talking? What scares you about social media?
None of that at all.
Tell me.
I think that I get more scared about similar things that you guys have come up with, where you've got the younger generations, and I think that some parents are so naive. And not just parents, older people are naive, and they don't really understand the access that certain people have to certain people or kids or whoever it may be. If you're vulnerable, they don't realize the access people have through that vulnerability. And another thing that really I think scares me about social media, and this is quite a personal thing to me, is you're really on stage and you don't realize it in social media. And especially like, I don't know, when we started doing CM London Clinic, I really became involved with social media and understanding, how it's going to benefit the business, etc. And it became a massive big thing about how many likes you get, how much, people are looking at your posts and commenting, and the engagement that you get. The engagement was huge. What's the engagement? And I really began to understand it a lot. So one day I thought, okay, let me just go have a look at my own social media from when I was bodybuilding and everything. And I looked at a couple of my posts and I was like, oh my God, that got like serious engagement. And that was like quite a reality check for me, because I thought so many people saw me, so many people. So when people said hi to me in the area and things, and I didn't know who the hell they were, it's because they were looking on my social media a lot. So then something that was quite fearful for me was actually because I used to not have the bestest of relationships with food. And then having Raphael, for example, I didn't want to put any pictures up of myself because I felt really vulnerable, and that's how people have seen me for a really long time, looking like that. And now I was so worried that the backlash I might get, or, oh my God, doesn't she look like she put on weight? Or, oh my God, look at her weight. So for me, my biggest fear is I don't want people thinking, honing in on my insecurity, which would be, I don't look my best, or I didn't look my best because I had just had a baby. So I don't want someone using social media to get to my insecurity. And I think that for me is my biggest fear, is social media equals you have access to my insecurity. And that, for me, especially in the industry that we're in, and because we're always got to be on camera, always filming, always doing stuff, that was like huge for me, because I got thrown in this deep end of having to film and be on social media after having Raphael. I didn't feel great about myself. I felt like I looked awful, but yet I'm now exposing myself. It's like stripping myself naked and saying, here I am. But I don't really want to be doing that, but it's like, that's the only choice you have. If you're going to succeed in your business, you got to strip naked and you got to be on social media. That didn't exist years ago. There'd be other ways of marketing your business. You didn't need to be the person on the forefront. So now I think what scares me is, regardless if you have an insecurity, regardless if you're feeling, down today or whatever, in your businesses, whatever you want to go on in your life, whatever you want to do, you're going to have to face, you got to get on stage.
Yeah.
You got to get on stage and be an actress. So you have thousands of actresses that unfortunately, or actors that take their lives, or they're living in depression, or they can't handle things because they can't handle being on this stage all the time. But now the whole life is a stage. Now social media is just your one big platform, aren't you? Your one big stage.
Yeah.
But one of the questions I was going to come back and I was going to ask you is, do you think that parenting should have engaged in that level? Not for you, not for Bella, not for any, I'm talking about in general, because you've got people that are watching this thinking, well, my kids are on, I don't really know what they're doing. And a lot of parents think they know what their children are doing, by the way. A lot of parents think they're one step ahead of you. I know, they're just doing a dance, it's fine. Or they're just doing that, it's fine. Or I've looked through her phone, it's okay. But parents don't realize you're actually 10 steps behind, because kids can whizzle their way around all the different social media platforms quicker than adults can. If it's not generational and it's something that's really been born in your generation, So do you think that the parenting needs to kick in better?
Yeah, I do. I think even like you have like older kids as well, compared to like now Raphael and Alora. So what you'd be putting in for enforcements with like what's going to come up on Alora's YouTube, for example, or like parental locks or things like that, that wasn't even around when, say, maybe when you had Talia.
Yeah.
So it is moving in a direction, but not near enough, close enough. I think even when you are a kid at that stage, that's why there needs to be parental like intervention, because maybe at 13 you're not seeing like the effects of maybe like how other people are going to interpret that, like those innocent dances that we were talking about. You can't control who's going to watch something on a public platform. So I think even if you, as like a young child, you're not seeing it as anything wrong, as a parent, you wouldn't want to put your child in that danger, which it shouldn't be the case. But at the end of the day, you'd rather keep your child safe than have whoever knows like looking at them on the internet, because there isn't enough boundaries. Even on things like YouTube Kids, like things filter through the gaps, and there's no like controls on what, like you said about insecurities, whether you've posted that you're insecure about something, it gives, when you're posting yourself online, that is also a platform for other people to then pick apart your business, pick apart what you're doing, pick apart how you look. Whether those insecurities were there or not, you are putting yourself in a vulnerable position. And that's what you see with so many young kids now as well. Even with like WhatsApp groups is bullying, because like there used to be like you could leave school and you go home and that's like for most people like your safe haven. Now you go home, you're still interconnected with all of those things going on at school, and then like your personal interests and stuff. If those people who were like, for example, were being horrible at school, they can then come onto your phone, and then that like filtrates into home. And I think that's where it gets out of hand, and where like the parents need to be aware, like there needs to be locks, or you can like filter words, or just have that relationship with your child where you don't need to be going through their phone, but you've had those conversations of like, listen, it's not everyone is kind, not everyone is safe, and you want to keep yourself safe, and just like enjoy social media for like the good parts of it, like connecting with friends, connecting with family, watching funny videos, like family group chat stuff.
How
like
many
that.
parents do you think actually are aware of what goes on in social media with their kids? So when their kids come, I'm asking, when the kids come home, and a lot of kids are down, or they're in their room, or they're crying, or they're upset, or I don't want to talk about school today, or, you know, normal kid stuff. How many parents do you reckon are just completely not aware that those kids are being affected so much?
Thousands.
Yeah.
So many of them.
I think it's become so normal to just be able to put on a front. And I think social media also allows you to do that, because you can be a completely different person on social media. The happiest person that you see online could be the most depressed person, and sorry to say this, but kill themselves tomorrow. You just don't know, because that's a different persona. But that has been transferred into real life, and now it's almost like that persona can be transferred into your everyday being. So that person you see, that's, you know, that saying where it's like the happiest person you ever met is actually the saddest person you ever met, because it's so easy to put up that block, and your kids can do that too. I think, yeah.
It's quite scary.
It is scary. Why do you think people do that? Put up this persona of how they look. Is it to do with how they feel about themselves?
It's about validation. Yeah,
completely.
100% about validation. People don't want to be perceived in a negative light. They want to be perceived as, oh wow, look at you. That's what influencers gain so much traction, because their lives look idyllic, which
What do you
they're
think of
probably not.
influencers?
What do you think of influencers?
Yeah, that's an interesting
As your
question.
generation, what do you think of influencers?
I mean, I'm conflicted, because I love sitting there and scrolling through Instagram and seeing what, I don't know, this famous woman in this lovely house is cooking for her kids and what car she's driving. But then also, if I'm having a bad day where I don't feel necessarily great about myself, I'm seeing like what I eat in a day to maintain losing 2 stone and look good, and you'll never look this good if you don't follow this. And I'm just like, all right, like it's a lot. I think it comes from, like Bella was saying, there's a lot of validation involved in it. And like, you have social media, why would you not put forward the best version of yourself, which those people are then going to see you as? You can have a filter now. And also with the influencers, these people are having fillers and work done to their bodies. On top of that, you know how like filters and Facetune and editing, and no one could ever know, but you're putting that standard out to girls who are our age or even younger, like the 13-year-old girls who are now like coming onto social media. They're seeing that, and it's so damaging from that age that it just, I think it's inevitable that it doesn't stick with you as you grow up.
Yeah, that's really true. I don't know. I'm also conflicted about influencers, because I think that there are so many people out there that are, if you take the word as it is, an influencer, and you're meant to be somebody that influences other people into doing good, into doing, you know what I mean? You're influential, and you're in your own right. And it's so easy for someone to be called an influencer. Like, it's so easy for someone to say, I'm an influencer. Well, who are you influencing?
Yeah.
Because to me, an influencer could be one person with one person that follows them. Because to me, you are an influencer. You're influencing the good in life and how to be a good person and what to do and, you know, all these different things. But how true is it to be an influencer if you're just lying?
And most of the time they are lying, because without sounding like I'm going in on influencers, an influencer really is somebody who's got lots of followers on a social media platform and they just take really good pictures, right?
Yeah.
But what are they actually famous for? We have this conversation all the time.
Yeah. If the internet goes down tomorrow, they're gone.
Yeah, but they get paid lots of money for doing that, and but what are they famous for?
Yeah. But there are some good influencers. There are some influencers out there, and I've mentioned a few in the past that are really good. And to me, you are an influencer because you're showing people the true ways to be in life. You could have a look at someone, let's take someone famous, I don't know, Beyonce. You could have Beyonce. Do a lot of people really want what's going around with Beyonce at the moment?
Probably
for her
not.
to be influencing their kids?
Yeah.
Probably not. So she's an influencer in her right because she's an influencer on social media. She's got how many followers? But really that's come from her being famous and being a singer and being on stage. But is she influential? Not in the right way. Not in the right way. And I tell you something, because now this is going to lead me on to this, but all of the people that were in that level of people now, for my generation, not so much for your generation, but for our generation, is such a disappointment. Because you've got all these people that a lot of people sort of look up to, but they thought, oh, you know, P. Diddy, he's like this, or this one's like that. And now social media's ruined him. Regardless if any of it's true or it's not true, or regardless of how bad things are. I mean, I saw something today, Beyonce, like, is her daughter even hers? Like,
It's out of hand.
like this is a child you're talking about. This is a child that has to now look at social media and they're saying, is Beyonce really your mum? Regardless of anything, that's a child. Where do the boundaries come in where you say, no, we're not going to put this stuff on social media? It used to be that you couldn't print stuff in the newspapers. Unless it was a proper story, you're not allowed to print it in the paper. But now you can just pop it on social media. And we're talking about children here. So imagine what, is it Blue Ivy? Is that her name?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
Imagine what she's feeling like, this kid at home, and her mum's sitting there and she's thinking, well, are you my mum?
Well, also, she didn't ask to be born into that. You can't control who your parents are.
Yeah.
And regardless of like social media or not, that's still like a family unit outside of all the performances and everything online.
Yeah. Of course they
insane.
are.
But you can't escape social media. You can put everything goes on social media. I mean, you know, to give an example of this, you know, every time you have world events that happen, you know, they put it on social media before it comes out on the news.
Yeah, I know.
But you find out about what's going on in your local
Yeah.
area through social media videos before anything actually gets published. It's everywhere.
Yeah.
I've got a question for you guys, right? And you've touched on this yourself. You know, for future generations, what are you going to be like with your kids and social media?
I think it's difficult to answer that question, because social media is going to be, we're going to have kids in maybe less than 10 years, but social media is already evolving so fast. How much is it going to evolve in 10 years? It's going to be so different. So I think it's a bit difficult to answer that question, because we don't know how social media is going to be in that
Okay,
time.
let's forget 10 years. Let's say you had kids today, right? In today's climate, with the way social media is and the way the world's working at the moment, what would you be like with your kids with what you have right now?
Well, I feel like it's so normal for now kids to just get, even if they're not working, you get like your parents' old phone without a SIM card in it to then start taking pictures when you're in like primary schools, last years of primary schools, and then you go into like early secondary school, and then you've now got like group chats with year sevens, and then it evolves. Like, I feel like they seem like small steps to parents, but really like the levels up in these things, like the more public these platforms are getting, like the jump from even WhatsApp to Snapchat. Snapchat is all camera based and filter based and appearance based, and you're sending pictures of yourself to people, and all of a sudden then you get a weird friend request on Snapchat, and all of a sudden like they're not just innocent pictures anymore. Like it's very easy to slip. So I think maybe just I don't think I would let my child be on access to phones until maybe around like 13, 14ish, when you're then like in a social setting around like a lot more people your age and like around teachers, and you're being taught about the dangers of social media. You're being taught about it like within your subjects. Like with my degree now, social media is like a part of what we're being taught, how my degree affects social media. It's such a part of everyday life that you can't pretend like it's not. So when you're like teaching your kids the dangers of it, it follows you everywhere, not just when you're posting something. Like someone can recognize you off the street of something you posted, or like someone in school could see something that you didn't mean for them to see. It's like a really slippery slope. So I think definitely a lot older and a lot more involved, like parent locks. I used to hate when my mum would go through my phone. I wish she did it more, because there was just so many things which you're so naive to at that age, and all you want to do is just protect your child and make sure that like nothing's going to harm them. So I think although social media is great and like the evolution of it is great, I would be so much more like parental locks, knowing passwords for everything, probably like limited screen time hours as well, just because it's so easy to be so hooked into it and so obsessed.
Oh my God.
I think the exact
Made me
same.
bloody think. She really made me think.
It's
She's right.
insane though.
You're
It's so
exposing
bad.
yourself to the world, and you can never get rid of that information. You know, you said digital footprint. You can never get rid of that, right?
Yeah.
Somebody can take a picture of it if you've posted something that you did. Look, you know the whole thing about Cardi B, you know, with her pictures before, and now she's trying to get rid of it because of her son or her kid. You can't get rid of that. Somebody's got that somewhere.
You've really made me think about Alora.
Yeah. Because do you remember when me and Bella would be doing those silly TikTok dances, and Alora would love it because we're having a silly little dance around with her older sister and her older sister's best friend. You listen to those songs and what they're talking about, and then
Yeah.
you click
I know.
on the sound.
Yeah, definitely.
You click on the sound, and then you see what the girls in those outfits
Yeah.
are wearing. And then Alora gets her phone and she wants to make more of those dances.
Yeah.
And then it's like, yeah, okay, like maybe you're not buying her the same sorts of clothes, but then you're in your room by yourself with your friends then, and you want to make one of those dances and wear what those girls are wearing. It's
Yeah.
so easy, and it's in such an innocent mindset that you get groped into it,
Yeah.
Something innocent can become so dangerous.
and without you even knowing at
Yeah.
that age.
It's like, even this is kind of, it's on topic but off topic. It just popped into my mind. It's when you said about like dressing, the way Elora's friends dress, who are like 9, 10, they're in like outfits that we would wear. They're in like
Yeah.
flares and crop tops. I'm like, I was wearing like neon t-shirts and skirts at that age, but they get influenced by the influencers who are 20 times their age, but they're so pretty and they want to look like them.
Yeah.
So they dress like them, but then they're, without even realizing it, they're sexualizing themselves at 10 years old.
Yeah.
But then also we don't realize that we started dressing like that when we turned like
Yeah.
14, 15. Alora's like coming closer to these ages now. Not only is she influenced online, she's then probably looked up to Bella and all her friends
Yeah.
and been like, I want to be cool like them. So then it just like, it goes, because we've been influenced by that, we started doing it younger.
Yeah,
Then
it's a domino
the people
effect.
who are even younger than us, even in school, you look up when you're in year 7, you look up to sixth form and you're like, can't wait to be in my own clothes and look like them.
Elora, for Christmas, she wanted White Fox. She's been
Yeah.
singing- yeah.
Tracksuit.
So I didn't realize. I don't know what White Fox is. I don't wear it. I don't know about it. Anyway, so I looked on. I've looked on to see if I can get her a couple of bits and pieces from it. But when I went onto it, like initially I said to Bella, I'm going to buy her some white. I'll just get her a tracksuit, whatever. You know, it's a tracksuit. It's fine. It's a tracksuit. I went onto the website, and it was just one of these typical like
Yeah.
girls dressed in whatever they're dressing in and blah, blah, blah. And I just thought, hold on a second, you're 10. These girls are dressed in tiny little like outfits to go out clubbing and blah, blah, blah. And I just thought, no. Because it's like me putting her in,
What was wrong with it?
I wouldn't put her in a Victoria's Secret tracksuit. I put her in a pink tracksuit. Pink's okay. I wouldn't put her in a Victoria's Secret tracksuit. Or I wouldn't put her in certain other clothes. It was just all the girls are like, boobs are out, bums are out, tiny skirts, little crop tops. Fine for if you're a bit older, but not for a 10-year-old.
Yeah. And also it's where is she seeing that to then want her the things.
Well, yeah. So then when she was like that, I was like, no, it goes back to like the Rio...
Sol de Janeiro.
Sol de Janeiro,
Bum
Rio de Janeiro. Sol de Janeiro stuff, and it's like the bum cream that they're like she's obsessed with. That's a no, and it's like the white fox thing now. It's become a no for me, not because of because it's a tracksuit. This is white fox and it's got flipping cherries on it, and I'm like no. Because I know the subliminal meaning behind the cherries being on the top. Little kids don't know the subliminal meaning and they think, oh, it's just fun. It's some cherries on the top.
Yeah.
But they don't understand. It might as well be a flipping aubergine. But it's, do you know what I mean? But we all know the secret between the cherry on the top, on the top, and then you've got a 10-year-old walking around in the cherry, and then you've got older adults who maybe don't have like teenage kids or older kids, or they're just not in tune with their children at all because there are so many adults that just are not. And then you think you're letting your kids dress in those things and you don't understand what is on social media and what girls are wearing these outfits. You don't understand, but yet they're letting their kids wear it. And for me, I just think it's a really dangerous place to go. But you've made me think a lot now about Alora and about other 10-year-olds, you know, and even me, I thought I was quite strict. I thought I'm really handling this in quite a strict way. Like she's not allowed Snapchat, TikTok, all of these things. She's not allowed them. And now I'm like, well, maybe she shouldn't have even had a phone to begin with, because now it's like, what else can she do on her phone? What pictures is she going to take? What's she going to, you know what I mean? I don't know any of these things. I don't even know if one day when she's taking her little videos, it doesn't go up on something and we're in the background half naked in the middle of a house. Do you know what I mean? Because she's going around filming and doing her innocent stuff, but we're in the background. You just don't actually know, do you? It's quite scary.
You don't know who's watching.
Yeah. I think it's like an impossible battle, but that's why parents do need to be more educated on things which are going on, because they do it so slyly, like you said, with the cherries in certain placements on jumpers, but then 10-year-olds are wanting that tracksuit. If you're not educated as a parent and your kid asks for something, you want to do something nice, so you get them it, then you're feeding into the whole cycle of it, and there's just really hard to protect the young kids on social media now. And I think social media will either evolve too far or it will end up crashing. Some of these apps will crash, like TikTok's being taken off America in January, because parents do get fed up. Like, where is the line of like, it's damaging kids now? It just puts
Is TikTok not going to be in America at all from January?
Next year it's completely banned.
Well, it'll be banned here then.
Yeah, most likely.
We follow America all the time, so it's obviously going to come to the UK, isn't it?
Yeah, it's gone too far. That's
because like even in the UAE, they watch so much more what you're posting, what you're doing than here.
That's because I think morality is still a thing there, because obviously it's an Arab country. They still have very strict morals, whether like Dubai, for example, is very commercialized and it's much more like it is like London, for example, but they still have morals. Social media doesn't have morals now to begin with, which is why people like Blue Ivy are getting slashed with who's her mum, because no one cares about the moral side of it. They just care about, okay, well, this post is really controversial and it's gonna get me famous. Do you know what I mean? So I think within the UAE and other Arab countries or Muslim countries or countries that have a strict social standing against morality, I think that the world needs to be like that. Because here and like America especially, morals have just gone completely out the window. And that's why people post this, that and the other, because they don't care. They just want to get views.
That's the scary part. That's the scary part, is that people just don't care anymore.
And the speed of the upload speed as well, in terms of the amount of content that they're uploading every single day.
Yeah, and they're seeing they're seeing how much influencers make. Influence can make millions per month. Like these big influencers, like there's one called Alex Earl, like she makes millions off of doing what? She posts Get Ready With Me's, and then she has brand deals and this and that. People want to be like that. People want to make the big bucks, and that's the way to do it.
But people don't want to be like that, really. Like you said earlier, you see influencers as someone who's influencing you to do good. All these influencers, tweets from when they were like 13, 14 of slurs and being racist, these aren't people that you should be given a platform. These are normal, innocent people. If we had influencers set to like influence good people, you'd have all the nurses as influencers talking about what they do. You'd have like the doctors, you'd have the moms, like you'd give the right people the platforms. It's not as beauty standards, it's not anything. That's where the lack of morals comes into it again. It's like what the media wants you to look like or expects you to look like, or a certain lifestyle, or like cars, or what you're supposed to eat. It's not like how to live your life. It's to fit them so they can profit off it, and that's how it all continues going.
It's really, I'm actually quite interested by everything we've discussed today. It's quite interesting from like to hear their views and from that younger generation and how they kind of,
because they've been born into it, or not born into it, but you've seen more of it than we have. So you know what I said at the beginning, you know, we've encountered it on the way in somewhere during our life, but you guys have seen it way more than us. God knows what the future generations hold and how far it's going to go. Like what you just said, in 10 years time, who knows what's going to happen.
You've made me think a lot though. You've made me think a lot, because Bella's always going on about Laura with social media, etc. And and I think, am I being a bit harsh? Am I not? Her friends, and they keep saying her friends haven't, and I keep saying no. And then it's like, now after everything you've just said to me, I'm like, no, definitely not.
Do you not think it's it's a very difficult place to be as a parent as well, because you're fighting kids to not do what everybody else is doing?
No.
You don't?
No.
Okay.
I think your job as a parent is not to fight your kids what they can and they can't do. It's to tell them you can't do it. Period. And I think it's a lot of the parents that do end up trying to negotiate with the kids. Those are the ones that are falling into this trap of, okay, you can have that, but you can't have that. You're falling into a trap. If you believe no, then it's a no.
But I think what parents don't realise or don't want to come to terms with is that their kids are going to do it anyway. They're going to find a loophole and they're going to do it anyway.
That's my point, which is it's a backward battle, which is that you're trying to stop them and make them good and keep control of them and all of that. But at the same time, how many days of the week are you going to fight your kids over how much airtime they have on their phone or their iPads and everything else? Because that's the direction that everything's moving, and who knows in which direction this is going to go in the next 10 to 20 years.
I think, with like me and Sophia, obviously we've been attached to the hip for God knows how long, but like I think we, despite what our mums may have told us not to do, we've done them anyways.
Yeah.
And I think that like we've done it anyways because there's always been loopholes to do whatever we wanted to do, but we've learned from that. And I think obviously you want to stop your kids from doing anything they shouldn't be doing because you want to pass down your wisdom and blah 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 and everything, but it's also about you need to learn from your mistakes. You need to fall before you can get back up.
I think it's too much of a like the way that it's moving, it's difficult. I agree with you. It's not really safe enough to just like fall and get back up because you're just sucked into it. I just think like introducing it later, like not giving in to first ever given that phone. I think it's easier to like get into like accounts or make a Snapchat account or an Instagram account, but like the whole concept of like freedom and like having your phone as like your item being introduced later might help parents with that boundary as like the kids are growing up.
Definitely.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you so much for
you.
giving us your insight. It's
Thanks
been
for
really
having me.
interesting. If you would like to hear more content, anything you'd like us to talk about, please leave a comment in the box below. Remember to like and subscribe for more content, and we look forward to seeing you on our next show. Take care. Bye.
Right.